identify these things, all right? Any questions?
We are going to do all the books or just choose one?
There's only one book.
Okay.
It's all part of the same package, right?
Okay.
So you have to look through all of that material and just put a check or tick all the materials you can find. All right. I'll give you about 5 or 6 minutes to look through it, and we'll check back with you in a while. It might be better if I put you into pairs again, but with a different partner this time. This is like a gist activity. You're skimming through the material to see if you can find these things. So that was just a way of getting you to quickly look through the materials. Deliberately easy, but not much time to do it. So did you find the workbook or activity book?
Yes.
Yeah. That's like, we often give students exercises from the workbook so they can do more controlled practice, sometimes for homework as well. Right. Sometimes they have readings there. If you want to give them some readings, sometimes they have those in the workbook. I think there might be some reading activities here. But mostly they're sort of controlled practice activities, aren't they? We have a look at this one here. So students need a bit of extra control practice. You can give them these. This is like a reading development activity. It's quite short, though. What else? CDs. Well, you found the recordings, right? MP3s these days. To go with the recordings, it's important to be able to read what's in the recording. So that's why the teacher's book or the student's book has the audio scripts at the back. Right. So here are what we call the tape scripts or audio scripts. If you're teaching a listening class, it's important to have these. How about supplementary materials? Did you see any supplementary materials?
We didn't have time.
Yeah. Maybe you could look in on the websites often have those, don't they? Supplementary materials. So like the teacher's online resources often have those. Looking at the website here. Yeah, these are extra exercises that they can do. And they often complement the stuff that's in the student's book, right? Downloads, those are useful as well. Short films, that's like supplementary, isn't it? So supplementary test-like activities. Did anyone notice any test-like activities? Sometimes they have them at the end of the course book units. If you look here, sometimes you need to make tests for students, don't you? So here you can see a test-like activity. Yeah. Test them on grammar. Do a quick grammar test. Or revise and check. These are like test-like things. Do you remember? What do you remember? This looks like a test. Extra reading material. So maybe in the workbook, dictionary, didn't see one. Website, yeah, there is definitely. Well, I said there wasn't a dictionary, but actually in this course book, I think they have a word bank, which could work as a dictionary, almost like a dictionary. Yeah, if you look at the back of the English file, they have this vocabulary bank, which is a bit like a picture dictionary, isn't it? Which is quite useful. I think that's it, isn't it? Anything else you thought was interesting as you skimmed through? So let's look at evaluating course books. So there are 3 stages in the evaluation process. Initial, detailed, and in use. Initial, it's a quick overlook or skim through to see if the book is worth looking at more closely. To do this, you can conduct a catalyst test. Christian, would you mind reading out the acronym for us?
Okay. Communicative, aim, teachability, available add-on, level, your impression, student's interest, and try and test it.
Yeah. What do you think available add-ons means? Well, it's supplementary material that you can get from, there's not actually in the course book, but is like complementary to the course book, right? It's often found these days. It's often on websites. Yeah. So if you look on the website, you can find extra material. Tried and tested means like, has it been used before by other teachers, by other schools? Does it have a track record of use, right? So I'd like you to think of some useful questions you can ask yourself to evaluate the course book. And I think let's focus on this course book that we have in front of us, this new English file. we have to cover the features in their catalyst test. So I'm going to have you write some useful questions on a Google Doc. All right, so now you'll be able to reuse these questions when you come to do written assignment 2 in a few weeks. So you can come back to this. So yeah, we'll focus on the English file, elementary. And so we need to think about questions we can add for each of these letters of catalyst. So communicative, are there activities that make students use the language in a meaningful context? In a personalized way? In a purposeful way. So it's not just language for language's sake, but you're getting them to use the language meaningfully for communication. Okay, so I've given you an example question there. Maybe you can think of others for that one. Think about question for aims. Are the aims clear? Aye. Group A, that's Christiana and Paula. Group B, Anna Maria and Sarai. So I've written you a couple of questions to get started. See if you can think of some questions for the other letters of catalyst. To answer them, you may need to look at the course book and the course book materials. So I'm going to give you at least 10 minutes to do this. Maybe a bit longer. So Christian and Paula's working together, Anna Maria and Sarai. Are you clear what you're going to do? What are you going to do, Anna Maria?
So we need to make questions to know about the things that are in the book.
Yes.
Okay.
But remember, it's to do with the catalyst test.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a way of figuring out, is it worth using this book? Right? So we have to ask ourselves questions and then answer them. Yeah. So for each letter of catalyst, we've got to write a question. Make sense? All right. Please go to your rooms. Good job. I can see that you've written some relevant questions there. This is going to help you to evaluate a course book when you have to do it for your assignment, your next assignment, which we haven't set yet. So don't worry too much about that yet. So here's some questions. You may wish to add these to your bank of questions. Is the text communicative? Will the students be able to use the language to communicate as a result of using the book? Aims. Does it fit with your aims and objectives as a teacher, or of the school's aims and objectives? Sometimes we don't have a choice very much. It's like whether the school likes the course book. Teachability. Does the course seem teachable? That is, does it seem reasonably easy to use, well organized, and easy to find your way around? Often we can check if we read through the teacher's guide. You know, are the instructions in the teacher's guide easy to follow? Available add-ons. Are there any useful supplementary materials? Are they available? I think the answer is yes. With this book, we look at the we just have to look at the website.
Mhm.
Does the book have the right level for your students? It's always a good one, isn't it? Yeah. This course book, yeah, because it's got many, many different levels, hasn't it? Your impressions, overall impression of the course. Are your students likely to find the book interesting? Like the topics that it has inside. Has the book, so tried and tested, has the course been tried and tested and used before? Has it been used in real classrooms? Where? In which countries? By whom? By actual teachers and students? And what were the results? Sometimes we have to try and find out that information. Sometimes we can look on websites and they give reviews of course books. So, after this catalyst test, it's always important to pilot the course book. Pilot means, well, give it a try with the students. If this is not possible, you can use a published questionnaire. It's better to apply a questionnaire with at least 2 books to have a way of comparison. Once you have adopted a textbook or a course book, it's necessary to re-evaluate it constantly. No questionnaire, however elaborate, can give a conclusive answer to the final test. Does it work in the classroom? Does it work with this type of students, with your students? Now, come to adapting materials. I'd like you to discuss what you would do to adapt materials if you were facing these problems. Now, the problems are, and this comes directly from TKT. This is a Cambridge TKT activity, which I've adapted for you. So, the exercise is too short, or the task or exercise is too long. The task doesn't suit the learner's learning style. After a long reading text and tasks, learners need a change of pace. They need to do something different. Activities always follow the same sequence. That can be a problem with course books. There's not enough practice material in a particular unit. What would you do? Okay, so same as before, continue on your Google Doc and see if you can come up with some possible solutions. All right. So exactly the same. Document. It's on the same page, just down there. Are you writing questions this time, Paula? Are you writing questions or are you thinking of solutions to problems? What are you going to do?
Write the questions, please.
No, you're not going to write questions. No, you're coming up with, you're thinking of some possible solutions to problems, right? With course books. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we are thinking about a possible solution for every problem.
Yeah, well, not every problem, the problems that are mentioned here.
Yeah,
Right,
every
so
problem is in the box.
you've got 3 problems. Well, you've got 6. Okay. So actually, I'm going to ask. Let's divide it up to make it a bit easier for you. Okay, so Christian and Paula, I'd like you to think of problems for the. Think of solutions for the first 3. All right, so I'm going to put those in bold. So you only have to think of 3, and the ones that are in bold, and Anna Maria and Sarai, think of solutions for the problems I've put in bold. Yeah, that'll make it a bit easier. So I'm going to give you 6 minutes, and then we'll compare our answers. All right, starting now. Sure. So let's okay, so Christian and Paula, can you talk us through your problems and solutions?
Yes. The task or exercise is too short. We think the problem solution is add other activity with the same topic, like reverse the process learning process.
I think I think you mean reinforce, right? Reinforce. But yeah,
Reinforce. Okay, reinforce.
good.
Christian, the second problem.
The second, if the task or exercise is too long, we think that the best option is to split the activity in two parts depending of the time.
Yeah, definitely. We can reduce texts, can't we? Quite easily. Sometimes when it's an audio, they often have it in different sections, so it's easy to cut it down. And
If the task doesn't suit the learner's learning style, we think that change activity or fix the activity with the familiar style.
yeah, why not? Yeah. So very often, you know, especially with younger learners, we can try to make the activities a bit more kinesthetic, involving more movement. Yeah. So that's a good idea there, Christian and Paola. Well done. And then it's Sarai and Anna Maria. What do you have for the second three?
We write that we need some games to have a rest for the long reading.
Yes.
And then for the activity that always follow the same sequence, we can play different roles with the sequence.
What do you mean by different roles?
Like I was telling Sarai that we can change the start and the middle of the lesson, you know, and then we finish with the same to know that they get the lesson.
Yeah.
And the final is there's not enough practice material in a particular unit. We can use digital games to complete the practice.
Yeah, right. That's a good idea. For the first thing, you could, after reading text, maybe you could have a speaking or writing activity, right? So you're contrasting the receptive skills with the productive skills. Yeah, but try and make it to follow logically from the reading. Good. So that is coursebook materials, and that's covered. Oh. We just need to do a little bit on assessment tonight, and then we're done, but it won't take long. I might leave some of this for you for homework. Not much homework, but
It's too long, better here.
okay, let's do assessment then. So question, what is assessment? Why do teachers assess students? Do students assess teachers? Is this a good idea? and why? What do teachers assess? When do teachers assess students? How do teachers assess students? Now,
That will be the homework, or we are going to do it now?
should we try and do it now?
In group here?
Let's do it as a whole group. First,
Okay.
what is assessment?
An
To
evaluation?
evaluate.
What is the technical term? How do we define it? So to find the definition, we may have to look in our glossary.
Like,
So do you have the link to the glossary? Click on the link to the glossary. Let's find assessment. What does it mean?
yeah, I'm looking for it.
To discover, judge, or form an opinion of learner's ability.
Right. That's correct. So there's our definition. So we've answered the first question. What about the second question? Why do they do it?
Because it's a kind of measure the knowledge of the new abilities that they can get when after they learn something.
So they want to get data from the students, get information from the students on their learning process, on their learning progress, right? Very often. So I'm writing here to get information on their ability, proficiency, or progress. Do students assess teachers?
Can be like a game to motivate the student, like is better the teacher or not?
You see, I haven't really answered the question though. The question is, do students assess teachers? Do they ever assess teachers?
Yes.
When?
When they can actually say to the teacher if they're interested or not in the topic, and if they're learning or having problems and they need to find another way to get to the aim of the lesson.
Yeah, so sometimes students fill in evaluations about the teachers, right? And they say whether the teachers have fulfilled their expectations, especially in private schools. So it is possible. Maybe not so much in state schools and public sector. What do teachers assess? What do they assess? Could it be their speaking, their writing, their students' listening skills, reading skills, grammar, vocabulary, right? When do teachers assess students?
At the beginning, as a diagnosis,
Huh?
and while the lesson, you need to correct something, and also at the end, as a feedback.
Very good, yeah. And how do teachers assess students? Do they use tests like examiners, formalis? But
Yeah, also with projects.
with projects, yes. And some schools use portfolios. And portfolios are like collections of students' work that involve teachers and the students coming together, and they select the work that the students have done over the year. They put them into the portfolio. So, I'd like you to look at Unit 23 of our handbook. I think this is probably enough for tonight. If we just do this, we can continue next week. Okay. These types of assessment to the definitions. This is kind of important for TKT. There's a lot of terminology in assessment, so we need to look at this. So can you give me the thumbs up when you found this unit? Can you confirm that you found this? Give me the thumbs up if you have it. Thank you, Anna Maria. Christian found it? Sarai, yeah, you have it?
I have to switch to my phone because my laptop get frozen, but I'm trying to open it in here.
All right, so we've got, what is a diagnostic test then? Let's do the first one as an example.
When learners go to the school, we need to know what level the learners are. So we give them this type of test.
Close, but not correct.
Correct. It's at the beginning of a course. Learners take a test to find out what they know and don't know.
That's correct. Well done, Anna Maria. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do this individually. You can do it by elimination. All right, quick answer check then. We covered diagnostic test, which is a placement test. I think you mentioned it already.
A placement test can be when learners go to a language school. We need to know what level the learners are, so we give them this type of test.
Exactly. Formative assessment. It's similar to has a similar meaning to formación in Spanish, doesn't it? Yeah. So it's to do with how much we've learned. Yeah. How we're developing. How we're progressing. And connected concept is a progress test. There's a closely related formative assessment and a progress test. So
This is a type of instrument that we use for formative assessment.
exactly. An achievement test then would be it's the opposite of a diagnostic, isn't it? It's right at the end. So achievement test would be down here at the end of a course. We want to see how well they have learned the contents of the course. Diagnostic. How about proficiency? We haven't covered that one.
Could be sometimes learners take a test to see how good they are at.
That's right. Exactly. Like the IELTS test, the TOEFL test, Cambridge first. Those are all types of proficiency tests. How about self-assessment?
Learners can also assess themselves using checklists to guide them.
Yeah. That's right. How about peer assessment?
Learners can also assess their peers.
Good. It's often done informally, so it's not like pen and paper tests. A portfolio.
A collection of learners' work, which the learner creates him or herself or with the teacher during the course.
Yeah. Feedback.
This is what we give learners after a test.
And so 11 must be informal, right? And these involve observing learners' spoken or written work and answers to written tasks. Teachers can keep notes on students' performance. And you can ask learners to complete self-assessment sheets or peer assessment sheets. We'll finish assessment next week, next Wednesday, because I don't want to bombard you with too much terminology right now. But I'd like you to try and do task 3. Write your notes to these 4 questions. Right, this is some feedback that a teacher has written to Matteo. Okay, I'd like you to try and answer the questions and bring your answers next week. Okay. But I think we can stop there. It's nearly 22:09. Let's just have a look what's on the agenda for next week. Okay, so from today, you'll be starting the role of error and error correction. In the asynchronous materials. Tanya will cover writing and speaking. And different teaching approaches and teaching techniques. And an area of teaching an area of language called functions. Next Wednesday, there'll be a demonstration with the live learners, the actual students. And I'll give you some assistance with Zoom and other tools that we use in the classroom, such as the Google tools, some of which I use today. We'll talk about the demonstration and have some guided lesson planning so that you can begin to plan your lessons for the teaching practice. Sound good? Any queries or doubts before we finish?
Right.
All right, well, sure you've had a long day at school today, right, all of you? And I understand that Anna Maria is feeling a bit under the weather. I think it's probably a good idea if we just pause there for tonight. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Good night, guys. Que descansen.
Bye-bye.
Have some merienda. Bye-bye.